release of Cobra Kai Season 5, I'm going to be ranking all 5 Karate Kid movies from my least favorite to my favorite. Let me know down in the comments below what you would rank these films as, because we all have our different tastes growing up from different cultures, and we're all going to perceive films in different ways, and I'd love to hear your taste. So overall, coming in last place, we have the next Karate Kid, one that really goes away from the formula that you really expect from the Karate Kid franchise, and while it is unique to its own means, Julie isn't a particularly compelling character. She's with this guy that acts like it's going to be a boyfriend situation, but doesn't fare well with how they're separated for a good amount of the film, and then just her learning the way they're dealing with different culture guidelines as she goes to Japan. It's very awkward in some ways, and the way she's going about complaining about different things, it feels very uncompelling, and there's never truly a good school fight or even fight in general, because she's up against these Marine cadets that are just not really making things to a fair argument to where you really enjoy the side that they're going with altogether. But coming in at number 4, we have the Karate Kid reboot. That it does have its fair moments that I do enjoy the last third of it especially, and it has some of the greatest Karate Kid moments, I would honestly say, in my personal taste, with the amplified music and just with the training montages that you get at the end with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith playing those characters. That ultimately, but in the first 2/3 of the movie, it's pretty slow and melodramatic, just with the way they're kind of copying the formula. And while the last third of the movie, it sort of does the exact same thing as the original, it feels still fresh by the way they're approaching it, and it actually amplifies to match the original in its own means. But unfortunately, the film, most of it lacks altogether. And coming in number 3, we have the Karate Kid 3, the one that's really close to the next place winner, that I just highly enjoy what they go with this franchise. And although it's very cheesy for its own means, there's technical problems that could be addressed throughout the film. Overall, it's still great just seeing Terry Silver and his character, and while it can be a little bit upfront with how he is approaching the students and how he is approaching Daniel and what they're all doing, and how some parts are slower because they're just creating a tree shop and then going through all that argument all over again with Daniel trying to train with Miyagi, and then it separates. But ultimately, it still brings a compelling story enough that it is rather watchable, especially once you get to know more about Terry Silver and Cobra Kai. So that leaves number 2, we have Karate Kid 2, which still is just about on the same level as the Karate Kid 3, just in the way it goes about this different story going to Japan. I really enjoy the aspect that Daniel is excited to learn more about culture, even though he has to sacrifice some of the money for schooling in order to go there. And just the culture that they dive into is decently well explored. It could be done a little bit more, but it does set up the boundaries and rules of what he's to expect, and when he does break some boundaries, there is consequences, and that's what really works to make this film good in the end. But that leaves at number 1, the Karate Kid original movie, that just is a classic by its own means, setting up so much of the characters you're going about. And while it doesn't dive too much into depth of the Cobra Kai style that you're sort of going for, and all of the Cobra Kai characters aren't as fleshed out as they are in the show, the film itself is doing what it needs to be for what it's shooting for, making Daniel the good guy, Cobra Kai the bad guys, and then just creating this development for Daniel LaRusso joining Mr. Miyagi. That's just a shop worker that isn't expected to be the karate master, but the way they go about that and setting up the tournament and just setting up John Kreese and Johnny Lawrence as some of the better karate fighters, that leads greatly into Cobra Kai. Overall, it started a legend that is overall still going to be living up well to this day in many more years. So that's just my personal thoughts on all 5 Karate Kid films, and I'd love to hear what your personal take on these films are. How would you rank them? What's your favorite of all time? And make sure to check out these other Karate Kid. If you missed their individual reviews, you can hear more about them, or check out my Season 5 review when it comes out.